Hi, everybody. It is showtime. And it is time for me to share one of the biggest blessings in my life. And I've known Dorothy Morgan since before
All
I had
seniors on
YouTube.
Medicare who haven't claimed their spending.
That was my phone.
Oh, okay. All of a sudden we're discussing Medicare? I don't think so.
I know. It's like I'm watching us. Hello, everybody. I'm a Gemini. I'll interrupt Nancy Jean in a second.
Yes.
I'm watching. I have the phone so I can follow us on YouTube with questions. And I forgot to turn the volume down. My bad.
It's okay. So anyway, what I was going to say is I've known Dorothy since 2017 when I first started building crystal grids, and I was reading at table. And because I built a crystal grid, and I asked, one of the things I put in my grid was that I wanted people to respond to me by giving me extra blessings, things that just sort of came out of the blue. And the next day, out of the blue, came this email from this astrologer in New Hampshire saying she pulled my name out of a list of people who had responded to her show, and she would like to offer me a reading if I wanted it. And of course, yes, I'm not one of those readers that doesn't want a reading. I'm like, yeah, read me. So we got together way back then, and I still have that grid, and I still have Dorothy. But a whole lot,
still here.
A whole lot has changed in the in-betweens. And I'm really grateful for all of you who are following this series. As you know, I'm doing psychic profiles, and Dorothy was the first person I said, got to do Dorothy. We got to hear Dorothy's story.
Thank you.
So, and I want to thank all the new people who've joined my channel. I've had a dynamic, put it mildly, growth in my channel, and I've had a dynamic growth in people responding and corresponding with me, and that's very lovely and helpful. And I'm hoping you will figure out how to get to this. Is going to become a podcast series, so you can see all the readers. And I'm not going to tell you who all of them are because some are a big surprise. Some will probably even be a surprise to me. So
that's good.
Anyway, Dorothy, do you have anything else you want to add to today?
I don't know. We're gonna talk about a lot of different things today.
Okay, we're going.
So you would ask, it's like, psychic, intuitive. What does that have to do with astrology?
Oh, it's enormous.
It has a lot. And we'll talk about it as we go.
I did study astrology formally with a woman named Helen. She's one of the people I list as a mentor, and I don't take classes lightly because I don't like to sit still. I wasn't good when I was a kid either. And but I really, they're just, if you begin to understand a few concepts, then you can follow it, and it really can be a very enriching experience.
Yeah.
But we're going to go through how Dorothy came to be Dorothy.
Yeah.
And we're going to ask the same 20 questions. And if you guys hear some sort of mechanically noise behind me, the man who fixed my dryer, when they can come fix your dryer, you grab them. So he's in the room next to me fixing my dryer. So, okay. These are the same 20 questions I've asked every reader and every psychic and every person who I think belongs in this show. So, Dorothy, when did you first realize you had some kind of sensory abilities?
When I think back, I know it was in childhood, but in childhood, I didn't realize it. I was very much in alignment, whether it's psychic, intuitive. Personally, for me, just because of who I am in my chart, nature is where I feel like totally in sync. And to me, when a person is either psychic and intuitive, they're a little bit different, in my opinion. You just need to be in alignment with whatever the energy is going on. And so to me, as a child, I was just very much in alignment. If I was outside in nature without other people bothering me, I was very much in alignment with that. But I wasn't aware of it. I wasn't aware of the psychic and intuitive things. But it started waking up in me outside of just religion And that the group, or whenever you're in a group, energy builds, and you always feel these fabulous feelings. But for me, I started waking up when I was out in New Mexico in the 1980s, and just sitting on a pile of rocks in the middle of the desert it's called Three Rivers. And then all of a sudden I felt like I was in a different space. I've done this kind of time travel a lot since then, but I could, all of a sudden there were petroglyphs in front of me, and I could just see the animals running across the desert in front of me. That was the awakening. It was in New Mexico, and it was in the 1980s. So I was in my 20s. And then a few things like that, different experiences like that started happening. And as soon as I came back to New Hampshire in 1989, where I live, where I'm from, and I met the astrologer I started studying with, then a few other different events like that happened. But I didn't know what to name them because it made me nervous. It scared me. And I didn't have anybody to talk to, but I started dabbling, but I didn't believe it. But I dabbled, and I started studying astrology. And that's where it just, like a snowball effect. But it wasn't quick. It took years.
Oh, yeah.
And it took years. And it took until around 2011, which that wasn't that long ago, where I started doing readings and sessions at a store in Massachusetts, Circles of Wisdom. And there was a class on 2 hours before I was there scheduled, and I started going to that class, and was a mentor, if you will. And things started to really open up, and I started to use my intuition and trust that I have intuition, and it's not just the analytical piece of astrology as well. So I know it's a long story for one question, but it's a little bit different, that I'm not coming at you today as a psychic medium, which I can do, but I don't choose to. But it all just started opening up like that throughout the years. Yeah. So a lot of different years.
Did you have a single aha moment, or did things, you just described it, things sort of gradually built out of over time, but is there like a first experience that when you look back, you go, I remember that?
The one I just described.
Okay.
No, that was pretty amazing. But there was another one that was really similar. It's just, it tapped into a past life in the Mayan. That was dramatic and traumatic. And I was sitting on my couch, and next thing I knew, I was at Tikal, being drug up the stairs, sacrifice, wake up on my couch in my home. And I was like, oh, that was the one that, like, what in the world? And then I started seeking out psychics to tell me, even though I was studying astrology, but I started seeking out psychics. It's like, what was that experience? I actually felt being carried up the stairs at that pyramid, because I saw it on TV. It was a TV show, and they were talking about that pyramid, and the camera was actually walking up, and I immediately was like, thrown back to a past life. And when the knife hit my chest, I woke up or came out of the whatever trance I was in. So then I started really researching things. So that was about 1990, 91. So yeah, I was in my 30s then. It's amazing. That was a big aha moment, because it's freaked me out.
Yeah. How do people around you react to your awakening and your experiences?
I didn't tell anybody. I mean, I told my daughter because she was a little kid, but yeah.
And little kids, people said, "Oh, your mom said that." Sure, I'm sure she said.
She said, yeah. And then the psychic fair that we went to, she picked up this piece of obsidian, which I still have. It's right over there. It's the shape of a pencil, and she goes, "Here, Mom, this is yours." Yeah.
Yeah, my kids were like that. Sean used to come with me to psychic fairs. Casey didn't particularly like them, but he liked them. And Sean has stars all over his palms, if you know anything about palmistry. And I can't get anybody who knows a good palmist person who can talk about that on YouTube. It's tough. It's a tough subject, but not that it's a tough subject, but what do you show? Here, look at that.
Right, exactly.
But he has stars all over his palms, and that really kind of always shocked them. They'd say, "Do you know?" And I know.
Yeah.
Okay. Your journey of development, did you seek training Or did you
I
just
did.
explore things on your own?
Yeah, I did. It was easier back then in the 90s because the internet wasn't much. It was very low. We had dot matrix computers, where you could print out charts. But I met an astrologer, and she was working at my parents' flower shop that I came back to take over. And at first, she was like talking about it, and I just thought, oh, this is a bunch of hooey, and because I was super religious. And then it's like, well, tell me, because I'm curious, Gemini. So she started telling me. But I was having a big transit that wakes up astrology. If you're going to be an astrologer, there's a few different transits that could wake you up if you're not already wake up to that. And so, yeah, I had her as a teacher. And she's still friends today. Talked to her yesterday. Kim Rogers Gallagher, Dusty Bunker, those two, still in touch with them, and I've known them since the early 90s when I started studying. Yeah.
Good. And are there specific tools that have become part of your became part of your practice early on? Obviously, you use charts.
Yeah.
And
Software.
understand.
Yeah. I use pendulums now too, because there are times when people don't know what their birth time is. And I can't pendulum and dowse for myself for some reason, but I mean, I've got this perfect one, and if they don't know what time they're born, I just have a grid that I created with AM, PM, and then the hours, and then blah, blah, blah. And so I actually loved using the pendulum for certain things. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Pendulums can be used interesting ways. I just created for myself, and I did send Subtil some money, but I created it off the French website that has all of the
pendulum charts, the dowsing charts. Yes, lovely.
There are that many there.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Because I have found sometimes when I'm doing readings with people, I can pull a pendulum out, and for some reason, they can relate to that a little easier, or it'll help clarify something I can't get from the cards myself. So
yeah,
I'm a big believer in pendulums.
I love it.
What's the best advice one of your mentors or your guides gave you?
I don't know. What's the best advice?
There's something that just sticks out that you think.
Something I'm going to tell people who are studying astrology that sticks out. I don't know if anybody ever said this to me. It's just like, stick to real simple at first. Because again, as an astrologer, it's like, I work with a lot of people. I just finished a client a few minutes ago, and people sometimes, she knew just a little bit about a chart, but not her as an example. Other people come in and they know lots of tidbits because of the internet. I started studying when there wasn't the internet, where any question I want to ask about astrology, you had to see a teacher or you had to read a book and find it in a book, and you learn more that way. And today's advice, I know you asked about for me, but I don't know. But I would say for today's advice, especially with astrology, is like, you can dabble all you want, but if you really want to learn, you have to start and hone in on just some very simple things to begin with. You have to learn that foundational piece. You have to, or you're just going to be confused. And that's where most people are. They're very confused when it comes to astrology. So that would be my advice to you, even though that's not exactly what you asked for.
No, that's a great piece of advice, because, I tell people if they want to learn how to read cards, they need to find a way to define the cards for themselves and then just read cards. Well, that can be hard because, back in the day when I'd say, oh, I'm opening up my house after work. Anybody want to come home from work and we're going to sit around and read cards? They'd all follow me home because there wasn't 1,000 card readers on YouTube to watch. There was one in Oak Lawn in Dallas to come see.
Yep.
How do you tell the difference between a psychic impression and your imagination?
And the psychic impression is just immediate and absolutely certain. To me, imagination, if you will, is just dreaming. And to me, the psychic is just more certain, but you have to practice it. It takes practice to know the difference, honestly. But to me, I can tell just immediately. It's like, oh, that's exactly what that is. There's no question. It's just like saying, yep, this pencil is green. That's it. That's it for me, being psychic or getting a psychic hit. It's just the certainty of it. Yeah.
Yeah, there is. It's somebody asked me one time, how did I sense the difference between what I think I might be seeing in the person in front of me and what's actually in the cards in front of me? And
Yeah.
I said, because when I look at the cards, it's like a novel you've already read and you're trying to reread it for someone. You're trying to
Mhm.
give them the details back.
Yeah.
It's not from inside me. I know it's not me.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Are there moments that you've doubted yourself, and then how did you push through?
All the time.
This morning.
Could be this morning. I don't know. I don't actually. I did. I did doubt myself on something I did this morning. Yeah, I do. I do. How do I push through it? It takes a little practice. At first, if you start doubting, especially in regards to our subject matters today, when you doubt if you're reading a card right, or if you're doing, you know, you just have to keep practicing and just build your confidence. And sometimes I think the only way that if I doubt myself, things come in, is because I'm trying to compare myself to others. And I still do that. And I shouldn't, and none of us should. We can look at other people as somebody to strive that, oh, I want to be as good as them. But it should stop right there. It shouldn't be, but I suck or whatever. Yeah. It's that. It's just, yeah, it just takes practice not to do that. And usually, especially, for the last lots of years, the only time it shows up mostly is when I'm comparing myself to others. Sometimes when I make a mistake, it's just like, oh, that sucked.
We all
That
make
was a boo-boo.
mistakes.
We all make mistakes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How do you handle the skepticism from within yourself and from others?
Within myself, exactly what I just said.
Mhm.
It just takes experience. I'm not skeptical about what I'm saying. I'm really confident. I used to be, but you just learn from practice and doing. And
Mhm.
that's why it's okay not to learn every card spread, or not to have a million different decks,
Mhm.
or to stay on your real basic astrology to begin with. Use the inner planets and practice them and learn them. That is where your own skepticism comes in. What other people are skeptic about, I've worked with that through family members and just friends, and that's their problem, not mine. It's just like, I don't care what they think anymore. I don't. If you don't believe it, that's fine. And, I don't share it with a lot of people. I just don't, because people just are judgy. And I just really don't want to deal with other people's judgments about something they know nothing about, that's
Mhm.
thousands of years old, just like Tarot.
Mhm.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
just dismiss them. After a while, as our ages, as we age, we just say F people. And as far as, the skeptics and the
Mhm.
judgy people, it's just F them.
Well, I
I'm
found
plain.
I've said this over and over again. When I used to sit at the table, when I started reading all the time,
Mhm.
I'd sit down and get all my candles set up, my crystals, and I'd have my whole little layout in front of me. And there always went through my mind, what if it doesn't work today?
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
and then finally I realized what I traced the voice. I listened to whose voice was telling me that.
Yeah.
And I realized it was someone who had a vested interest in teaching me insecurity.
Mhm.
So I said, I don't want to hear from you. And as soon as I dismissed that voice, then I never had that problem again. It's just, I
Good.
knew that in
Yeah.
order to be there, I had to be able to do it today. And that's kind of where we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I'm on board with that.
have your abilities gone through strong and weak phases? And what could you relate to that?
Strong and weak. Yeah, I think it comes back to that confidence and, being skeptical of yourself or confident in what you do. So
Hmm.
it builds and builds. I mean, you do get to a point, just like you. I mean, I've been doing this for over 30 years now. So I'm at a point where, I don't feel that weakness anymore. I feel times when I don't feel like doing it, but I don't feel like that weakness anymore.
No,
Yeah.
I chose to do it. So
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah. And for the people who are listening who are just dabbling or even not, I've been doing this for 30 years. Nancy Jane, you're like way up there too. And so it's just second nature. I can't see myself doing anything else. And I haven't
No.
for over 15 years now. It's been my full-time profession. And that has its ups and downs because the economy is just part of it. But the point is like, yeah, you work your way out of that and you become less skeptical of yourself and less insecure of yourself. Like when I see certain transits and things, it's like I'm pretty confident that this is what you're going through and this is how you're going to feel this, right? Whatever this is. And they're like, nah, no, nope, nope, nope. And a half hour later, when we're talking about something else and they talk about that subject that I just said, and it's like, that's what I said a half hour ago. And they're like, oh, so so you don't have to feel as you practice and get confident in what you do. That goes away. It goes away. And
yeah, the most telling is when you're looking at someone and you finally have to say, no, that's a lie. I mean, you say it maybe not that bluntly. Although I did a reading a little bit ago where I had to say to someone, no, you're just lying to yourself again. And I suggested they go see a shrink that I like that's on that's on the YouTube. And I said, listen to when they talk about the language we use with ourselves. That's this person's problem. It's the language they use with themselves. And they weren't listening to me, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And then how do you protect your own energy?
I don't pay attention to that.
Okay.
I should. There are times when I feel like this stinks. Something's happening. What's going on? And you know how I don't think about it when it comes to readings. I honestly don't. I think I have a long-term agreement with my guides that if I need protection, it's going to be present when I need it because I'm not scatterbrained, but sometimes I don't think of those things. I don't have a pattern. I don't have a routine before I do clients, before I work with clients or teach a class or I do tons of videos. You know, it's just like, am I in alignment with this spirit? Is this what I should be saying? You know, I just get in alignment. But as far as protection goes, I don't do that. I don't do that. But I should. I have to admit, I probably should be more aware of that because sometimes, you know, I get some negative stuff come at me from just the written stuff. And I don't know what's coming at me that isn't written out. But point is, yeah, I should.
Well,
my bad.
I think the reason I asked that question is I think everybody should, but you're the second of 3 people I've approached who didn't have a thing they did regularly. One says she doesn't even know how to do it. She just lives. So
yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think psychic abilities are innate or can anyone develop them?
Yes, both. It is innate and you have to develop it.
Okay. That clarifies a yes, because I was about to go, yes.
It is innate and you have to develop it. But speaking from the astrologer point of view, some people's charts, which means their signature, their pattern, they're more analytical than emotional. And if you're more of an analytical person, you might not allow that flow to come through. Okay. So it will be more difficult to open the door. Once you open the door, you figure out how to do it. So I think everybody can do this, but some people will feel that they can't just because of whatever upbringing or their chart sometimes can be so fixed that they just don't allow the flow. And you can see it in the chart. You can see with people that are super analytical. So you talk to them like, yeah.
So, and what work, how has your work changed your worldview and belief over the years? That's not tricky at all.
You know, I would be much more popular if I was to do political astrology or anything political, but I don't. I know what I believe, and I'm in the same camp as you are. But for a long time, I didn't pay any attention to any of the global, worldwide, blah blah, national stuff. But I do now because I want to see. I want to see what's to come, and it has changed it now that I've learned about it, now that I've learned about the astrology that is for it. I mean, I've done it years ago, but at first it's just personal. And that is my main focus these days, is still just personal astrology for how to help everybody through everyday life. But how has my work changed my worldview? It's just given me a bigger view, and just know that actually we're all just part of this big old simulation that's happening.
Well, I can tell y'all when I cratered, the first text I sent out on Sunday morning when they gave me my phone back, was to Dorothy, and all I said was, "Where was I? What was going on in Dallas, Texas at 7 o'clock last night?"
Yeah.
And Dorothy wrote me a loving and compassionate explanation
Response.
of it. I don't know how you're still sitting here typing. That's basically what you said.
Yeah, you had a choice. You had a choice when if you were checking out or not. And then you told me what happened. And I'm like, yeah, there you go. I did see that. My guides can help me on that too, because I could see the astrology, but this is where my intuition comes in. I could see the astrology, and that's my tool. And over the decades that I've been doing this, that's my tool. That's absolutely it. But it's not just it, because as soon as sometimes like that situation, when you emailed me from the hospital, I pulled the chart up because I was like, oh, what's happening with Nancy Jean? And I pulled it up, and in my intuition, everything just flooded in. It's like, oh, she's checking in or checking out. We'll have to go see. And I mean, that's what I hear. I hear voices like that. I know, weirdo. I hear voices like that. It's like, go check this. This is what they're doing. This is where the soul's at. And so that's where it's my astrology is melded in with the intuition and whatever. But yeah.
And that's why it's kind of good to have someone who's done your chart before you get to that point. May I say?
Yeah.
Or get a firm grasp of your own chart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I do teach just so people know, if they want to just play with their chart and learn their chart, I have that on my website. But anyways, back to you.
Well, no, I'm gonna pitch for Dorothy's website right now.
Okay.
The best way to learn astrology is to learn your own chart.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of it. I mean, just put it out there. Understand what the signs are. It's great if you have someone to take you along through that journey who has a little more insight that's not just you covering for your own butt. Because like Dorothy and I were talking, I can't read a pendulum for myself. There's a lot of things I can't do for myself, but I can go to other people, and I have other people that I do go to, and you're going to see some of them as you watch this series. They're people I trust that I know I can go to for advice. But for those of you who say, well, I think I can do this, or I think I can do that, the best way to figure it out is to go ahead and try. And a chart's a great place to try, because all of you's on that chart.
All of it.
All of it.
Why am I here? And why am I here? And it doesn't have to be this major purpose. Why we're here is to experience what we're experiencing as humans. It's like, it's to experience focusing on the details, or focusing on your family, or honestly the career, or how to learn how to be more cooperative with whatever's going on. There's just so many ways we can discuss this, but it doesn't have to necessarily be these big aha moments. It's about the it's about the human experience is why we're here. Right. And so sometimes it can be disappointing when people go, well, why am I here? And it's just like as ordinary as doing the dishes, and they're kind of disappointed. And it's like, yeah, but your soul is learning about this, and its experiences that, and you have these beautiful relationships with these people, and it goes on and on. Off track, but here we are.
What's one of the most powerful readings you personally have done?
I don't know what that means. Powerful.
Well, it's one that you did, and you were walking and thinking, it's not going to be as important as it is. But you got in there and realized, I have to get this across, or I have to do my best with this.
All right, here's a story. Here's a story. I was just a baby practicing astrologer, meaning I just started. I mean, I studied for 15 years before I started doing readings. Again, back in the day where you learned everything from a book, so the timeline was much longer. I was at a psychic fair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a psychic medium. Never claimed to be.
Mm-hmm.
My chart says otherwise. Never claimed to be. And so I was just doing, we're just doing 15-minute astrology things. It says I'm an astrologer, nothing else. This lady sat down, thought I was a medium. And I said, I'm not a medium. And I go, but how can I help you? What can I do? And she just wanted to know if after people die, if they feel regret. And I'm like, what's that about? The next thing I know, I hear this whoosh.
Mm-hmm.
I got pushed out of the way. Her husband died. He was in my head, if you will. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I said to her, but what I know is that he cheated on her. She found out about it after he died. He was really upset about it. He was sad about it. I don't know what I said for 15 minutes. The next thing I know, I was like, I started struggling. My consciousness started struggling, and he left. And she was just looking at me with big old eyes, and she's like, oh, you weren't a medium. It's like, I'm not. And so it was just a trans channel thing. And then I finally asked her for her birthday, and when his birthday was the same as mine. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
So that was easy for him to climb into.
It was easy, not the same year, but the same day. Mm-hmm. So the 19 degrees of Gemini vibe is here and was there. And that was profound because she really wanted to know. Mm-hmm. And he told her. That was, to me, that's what stands up. I know I've had amazing readings with other people, but to me, as far as I'm concerned, because that made it, it's just wild. That's when I decided I wasn't going to be a medium.
Yeah, nothing like having them take over.
That was scary. But it happens. It still happens once in a while, but not too often.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you deliver, this is kind of, we deliver both kinds, but sensitive or complex messages, and how do you adapt that style per the client?
Yeah, it depends on what our conversation is and how we've been talking and how open they are and how comfortable we feel with each other. If there's somebody I've known for a long time, like you, everything's on the table. I don't hold back from clients, but the way I deliver a message to a client, especially if I think it's going to be something challenging and I look at what's going on in their chart right now, you have to filter through what's happening in their life right now. Right. Because sometimes, if your cup is almost already full, I don't want to be the stranger that adds the thing that just tips them over the edge. You know what I'm saying? So I deliver messages. It really is circumstance, depending on the circumstance. And if there is something very difficult going on, I approach it from the solution.
Right.
I focus on it from the solution, not what the problem is. And then we slowly get through the weeds and to what the issue may be. But they have to confirm it before I even go too far with it. So it's the nuance of counseling people. You can't be a hammer just because you say, I want to speak the truth. That's fine, but you can't be a hammer because, like I just said, somebody could just be like teetering on the edge, and you don't want to be the person that puts them over there. So that's where, being not authentic, because that's authentic, but being, what's the word?
Sensitive to what's their surroundings.
Sensitive to what other people are doing, I'll come up with the word in a few minutes, but it's really important not to just hit people upside the head with something if they're not ready for it, because you're trying to be, I've seen this in other people. It's like, I'm just going to tell them the way it is no matter what. And it's like, you have to have a little more of understanding and compassion for where people are. You're not lying. You just don't have to deliver the truth that's so blunt. Like I said, you can come at it through the solution.
Well,
that takes practice.
I was at a psychic fair, and this young, really beautiful young woman in her early 30s sat down at my table,
Mhm.
And she said, everybody says you're really a good reader. And so I really wanted to come over and be read by you. I'm like, well, that's lovely. Let's start off on the right foot. And she said, I said, we're going to go. I always start out with what's going on around you for the next 3 months. And then we grew from there.
Yeah.
And she said, no, I want you to tell me who is the next man who's coming into my life.
Oh, I can't stand those questions.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
The one, yeah, well, every reader will tell you that's not. And I said, well, let me read who you are so then I can figure out if we're seeing the right person. Trust me, that's the most sensitive thing I said in this entire reading. I laid out her cards and I told her that the next person that was going to come in her life that was going to save her was her. She had to go look in the mirror. She had to, and I had a shrink one time tell me that the masks of comedy and tragedy were created from the real human face. And he said he's had clients in front of him fall apart and their face goes into the complete tragic mask.
Right.
From the lovely. And her face so crumpled in. And I mean, this beautiful woman became almost troll looking. And she said, don't lie to me. That's not right. Tell me what his name is. What does he look like? And where is he? And
my God.
So I said, well, let me ask the question one more time and see if maybe I got the wrong answer.
Yeah.
And at this point, every other reader I know told me that was in that room said they would have folded it up and told her what she wanted to hear. And I said, I couldn't. If you saw the face I was looking at.
It's not ethical to do that. It's not ethical. That's the word I was thinking of. There's ethics here. I
just told her, I said, go home and look in the mirror. That is the person who's going to save you. And she stood up, and this is in a ballroom full of little card tables with readers at it. And she screams at me, you're an effing liar. You don't have any ability at all. And I said, please take your money back if you think I'm wrong and leave. And she stormed off. And needless to say, this is not a great draw to your table.
No, but most people would realize that somebody's just being a drama person.
Well, yeah. Well, no, yeah, trust me. So anyway, this other lovely young woman came up, and it ends up, she is the woman who brought her to the psychic fair in hope that someone would tell her the truth. I got the whole backstory. She went to New York thinking she was going to make it in New York City. She met a wealthy man. He'd taken care of her for 18 years. And he gave her some money to buy her out and told her to get out. And she had done nothing for those 18 years but stand around and look good in the clothes he was buying. Anyway, she didn't tell her friend what had happened. The woman she moved in with had taken her in just to help her get resettled.
Yeah, get her on her feet again.
And I said, well, let me read your cards. And so I read her, and I looked at her and I said, is your husband in your home? And she said, yes. And so I described the room, and I don't remote view much, but I did this time. And she said, yeah, that's the room she's in. I said, in the middle drawer, in the chest of drawers, he needs to dig past the clothes she's put in there, but there's a gun.
Oh, shit.
And I said,
sorry.
That's okay. It was Dorothy said it, not me. Don't hit my channel, YouTube. So then she said, and then I told her where the pills were. So by the time and I said, your husband will know what to do. And she said, and so she got up from the table and left. And I said, please get in touch with me and tell me what happens. It ends up her husband found the gun. He found the pills. Wow. And he called a friend of his who's a lawyer and said, what do we do? We have this woman in our house that's a threat. And the lawyer told him how to call the police and how to arrange to have her put on, I think at the time in the law of Texas, and it was like 4-day hold. They could hold her for 4 days based on that.
Yeah.
So that'll give you time to find her family and figure out what you're going to do. Anyway, it ends well, guys. She did get put in the hospital. She ended up being in the hospital for several months. Her family found her a good place that's in Dallas where they worked with her. And by the time she got out, she had a job. She was on her way up. And the woman called me.
Oh, she needed a leg up. That's nice.
Right. And she said, every other reader had told her what she wanted to hear.
Yeah.
But she said, you're the only person who told her what she needed to hear. And she said, and then thank God you told me what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
And um, I've never felt that she didn't turn into a productive human being. May I say that woman never came back to me for another reading, but
The truth is hard, but you did it in a you were good with that. You were
no,
ethical
I
with
think, and I
that.
think you're the same
Yeah.
kind of reader. If it comes down to it,
Yeah.
we got to tell you what our guides will tell us what you can handle and then help us with it.
Yeah. Yeah, for real.
What advice do you give someone who's just starting to explore their gifts?
Yeah, like I've said earlier, this one step at a time. You can dabble in all the fun things, but if you really want to learn, you want to just bring it all back to learn one thing at a time, honestly. Learn one technique, one spread, one deck, learn the absolute foundation of astrology. Like if you think you're reading transits and getting transit readings, but you can't tell me what are the 4 cardinal signs, you missed a lot. So as far as the astrology goes, please, please, please get yourself some beginner foundational
And
stuff.
you have that on
I do.
on your website. Dorothy has a class you can sign up for. It's self-paced.
Yes.
That's a class I need, the one that's
You get everything. It's just me in videos talking about the different things. There's like 5 videos and there's workbook and you have access to it as long as you want. And yeah, so that's on the website.
and that's good because you'll think you know it and then you'll get a year in and you'll go, oh, I don't think I remembered that right.
Yeah. I started creating other classes, but I kind of got waylaid because I'm doing so much on YouTube.
What do you wish you'd known earlier when you first started?
Gosh, I should have known earlier. I don't know. That's what I don't know. I'm going to write that one down.
Think on it.
I really don't know. What would I've known earlier? I guess in what subject? I'm being picky here. As far
About
as
your life?
about reading charts or being just me. What have I known? Oh, in life?
It can be anything. I mean, because it all at the end, guys, trust me, all of it's gonna ball up into a thing. So
Yeah. I don't know. In life, it's like, I guess if I look back to my younger person, to who I am now, it's just, it comes back to the day-to-day stuff, like really appreciate what, invest early, invest early, even $200 a month, especially if you're in your 30s, just put it away, pretend it's not there. That to me is going to be the number one thing, because you can financially feel by the time you're in your 60s, you'll have a million something. But, and I never did that, I just
I wasn't good at that either.
I wish I
even got
wish I
handed.
had.
I even got handed a chunk of change. Went right through it.
Something like
Okay,
that.
we talked about habits or exercise you recommend. I know you have a lovely kayak that lets you go out into nature.
I
Are there
do.
things people need to find like that?
They do. They need to find their place of solitude. I love the kayak because I have the south node in Pisces and a water sign, and my north node is Virgo. That's an earth sign, and I'm a Taurus rising, Gemini, Cat moon. That's all me. I love being outside. I love that. Even when there's a lot of mosquitoes. If there's a lot of mosquitoes, that's when I'm on the kayak on the water because they don't harass you there. And when it's cool enough, I'm in New England, so it gets cold soon. The bugs die out and I'm back in the woods. So outside in the woods, I don't have headsets. I don't listen to anything. I listen to nature. To me, that grounding piece is it. Other people might have their own unique way of doing these things. Some people it's being creative. And a lot of people it's being creative. It's like, what's creative to you? Anyways, it could be writing, it could be reading, it could be drawing and painting, whatever it is. That's the thing. For me, nature, 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 whether it's water or land, I don't care.
Okay, now here's a tricky question. How can someone find a trustworthy psychic community or mentor?
like here. I mean, this is the way you find it. Whatever your focus is, there are astrology Facebook groups. Those are kind of old fashioned now, but you just get on the web and you're just gonna start. You'll find them, and whatever your social media favorite thing is, you can find them. And even here on YouTube, you can find that too. I think it's just like finding you, Nancy Jean, and just finding the people that you talk to, that you recommend, and this is just the way you're doing it. So you're actually doing it. That's how I would do it.
You're going to see a whole lot of people, and if somebody warms your heart, that kind
you're going to you will resonate with people. You will resonate with people that you have something in common with, whether you even know what that is or not. That's how we come together as soul groups, and we're in lots of different soul groups, but that's just how we come together. It's kind of like just anyways, groups that are kind of overlaying, if you will. And I like that.
Okay. And this is the last question. What's the biggest lesson you've learned on your psychic journey? Now it's a tiny little question.
It is a tiny question. It's to be present, be kind, be compassionate, be understanding, be nice. There's nothing wrong with being nice, but present is the big one, like paying attention to your current life circumstances. Doesn't mean you can't think of the future and set goals, but nothing happens outside of right now, ever. And so to me, on my journey, that's what I've learned. It doesn't matter what my past lives were, even though I know they influence now. It doesn't matter what my future is going to be, even though I'm planning for that. Nothing ever happens except for right now. And so that's what I've learned so far in my journey. It's just always about this current moment in time. Eckhart Tolle talked about that for a long time. I studied him years ago, and the power of now. And he's not wrong.
He's a good mentor. If you want to, because you can kind of dive into any of Eckhart Tolle's any of his lectures, and you're going to get something out of it. There's always a little gem. He managed to take a gem and put it in there every single time.
He does. And if you're listening to him, especially on YouTube, if you don't know, if you're watching a video on YouTube, you find the little cog wheel and you can click on that and you can make them talk up to 2 times faster. And he's so
a little slow.
He drones. He's boring, but he's not boring. He's boring because he talks too slow. I'm a Gemini. I talk too fast. And I always put him on times 2. But his book, The Power of Now, was the first one I read of his, and it's fantastic. And I would recommend it with anybody.
And you can get that on audiobooks for those of you who haven't read a book in so long, you're not sure your eyes still really work.
Yeah, but paper's good because nothing changes when it comes to the printed press.
That's true.
Not easily changed, put it that way.
Okay, that's kind of my wrap up of questions.
All right.
And there's a couple terms I'd like to explain. Have you explained to people? Because I think I know the definitions, but it's your world. So I'm going to, okay. What is mundane astrology? I know it doesn't mean what. I think mundane means the regular, the usual.
Mundane is when we look at governments and countries and their charts.
Yeah, it's like it's the opposite of what I think of as mundane.
I know. Who named this? Right? Who named it?
The people who wanted to lure people in. Oh, a thing on mundane astrology. I think I'll watch that.
I know. Yeah, it is. That's what it is. Mundane astrology is when you look at the world view or world charts, things like that. Yeah, we're leaders.
I think knowing your own chart and seeing where things are, because the world could be going to hell in a handbasket, and it's doing a wonderful imitation of that right now.
It is. It is.
But if your chart may not. I mean, all these planets may. I mean, when all the big guys get together, there's not a lot you can do about it.
Yeah.
I remember watching the lineup before COVID. I remember watching.
Yeah, boy, that was tough one. Saturn, Jupiter, all of Pluto, all at what was it, 0? Well, Pluto wasn't, but Saturn,
it was
Jupiter,
10 degrees at Capricorn.
Yeah, the Capricorn, and then the 0 Aquarius. That was really tough stuff. But yeah. So recently, well, this comes up regularly. You and I were talking about this before we started recording. I do a lot of YouTube shorts, and the YouTube shorts are just, 60 to 120 seconds. They're not that long. They're just for little tidbits I throw out there. It's just what you have to do for marketing these days. And it's just on all the social medias. But the other day we were having a transit with the moon in Taurus. And when the moon is in the sign of Taurus, it's exalted. It means it loves that sign. And the overall influence of the moon in Taurus for everybody can be, that we're focusing on what we love, what we value, the things that we just like: good food, good company. It's just a lovely place for the moon. Very earthy, very grounded, nice, not hyperbolic at all. Well, somebody wrote on the video, it's like, I am not experiencing this whatsoever. I have somebody who is mentally ill and they're just off the rails today. What is it? Is it that, or is it Neptune? It's just like, I don't know what's going on with Neptune for her. But my response was, and this has started a new series, and I just launched the first one yesterday. Right. I'm going to be doing it once a week with people asking questions like that. I might refer to transits that are happening that week, but this one's 7 minutes. I'm trying to shoot for 3 to 4 minutes, but I just explain it. It's just like that lunar effect, the lunar effect that's going on in this short video. It got outweighed for this person. It is outweighed by what that moon aspect is going on. There was something else happening in this lady's chart, as well as the person she's referring to, that is creating nothing even remotely close to what the moon in Taurus is. The moon in Taurus is quick and fast, lovely as it is. Mm-hmm. But if you have an outer planet doing something really strong, if you got a Saturn moon thing going on or whatever, you are not feeling this good stuff, Mm-hmm. It's just like having, as far as the weather goes, like in Dallas, it could be, 110 and you're dying. But here in New Hampshire, same day, it's at 75 and it's perfect outside. We're all experiencing it depending on what our own life experience is like. And so I'm doing a little series on that. Maybe not a little. I'd like it to go for as long as it goes. People ask questions like that, and I can.
If you're curious about it, if you go in the description that's attached to my StreamYard that's going out with this, mm-hmm. I put a link for that, for Dorothy's show, because I saw it this morning and I thought, this is perfect. I've come up with a way to try to link together how I learn and trying to bring that to people. And Dorothy's really bringing what she does best as far as explaining stuff. I mean, she does brilliant charts, and she can go for the long term, the short term, and the critical term, whatever, wherever you are.
Whatever, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But this series it helps give you perspective.
Yeah.
And my perspective is, if right now I don't get the one questions anymore. Is he the one? Is she the one? I don't.
Me either. No, I haven't since I stopped doing psychic fairs, actually.
Thank God COVID hit, because people decided maybe me breathing on my own is enough. But
so good.
But what it has turned into is, what is my purpose? Do I have an attachment? A bunch of these sorts of things that really require a lot of time. I can't certainly answer it in chat, following these what goes on. Some things you can pull up in chat. And sometimes I think should I answer that question? I had a woman whose daughter was going to have was having signs of a brain tumor again.
Oh, my.
And I was like, oh God, so I laid the cards, and when I saw on the cards, I said, I'm going to read you these cards, and they could be BS and just to make you feel better. But she was going to get a phone call soon, and the doctors were going to tell her that was completely different way of resolving it. Well, it ends up her daughter lives near where they're doing experiments with using your own cells to kill the cells. And she has a brain tumor of a kind that's extremely responsive. And she told me that they put her her daughter in that study. So
fabulous.
And there's like almost 100% if they get the chemistry right. It's a marvelous way of stopping.
Nice. I love that. That's fabulous.
But there's questions, you can answer, questions you can't. I guess I was just needed to be there that day to help her ease her mind.
Yeah.
I want to answer this one, and you don't have to participate. Dorothy, if you don't want to.
Okay.
Good afternoon, ladies. My question is, I went into our bedroom to turn our ceiling fan on. I felt like I ran into someone
What?
whose space did I get into? Thank both of you.
Oh, wow. That's
Well,
happened. I've
huh?
had experiences like that. I usually know who it is. If you're walking through somebody's space, if you're walking through somebody, if their energy is there, you are going to know who that is. I've done that a few times in my
It's
life.
what I sense. It was an older male who's come to protect you.
Yeah.
You're going through something, and you sort of thought, what would he do? It's like an uncle or a father or
Yeah.
the next generation up. And I don't sense these guys much. I don't do much medium work either.
Yeah.
But and he wanted you to know he was there. What do you sense, Dorothy? If you sense anything, that's kind of not a fair question because
Yeah. Well, no, I told you what I sent. When I feel that, it just, oh, what do I sense for that person? Yeah. I mean, somebody who would know the space for real. I mean, if didn't mean somebody had to pass away there, but somebody who actually knew the space there has returned. I think we return to those spaces sometimes.
Oh, okay, y'all who came in late, the shadow that just moved behind me, it's not a shadow. That is the repairman who just fixed my dryer. And he did it so quietly, you didn't even know he was there. But that's a shadow that moved behind me.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. And so, yeah, when it comes to the YouTube shorts and when I talk about those things, they're just really quick and fast, to the point. No, you can't linger on any of it. I do have membership platform where you can tier 3 and 4 on Patreon, or just the second tier here on YouTube, where I do the weekly forecast, and they usually take about a half an hour to do whatever's coming up for the next week. And I explain a little more about, I talk about what the energy is, but I also do a lot of teaching in those videos. So if you're somebody who like loves the astrology and has a book like this is next year's Llewellyn calendar, and it shows you the lists of all the aspects that are happening for a certain day. This is where I get that information from, because it just tells me what, without me having to do the math, what's going on a certain day. And I talk about those, and you can learn to read it, to read transits, or learn how I do it by just joining. It's just, they do have monthly fees, but it's not much.
Yeah.
It's my living. So, it's my knowledge and living, and I will help you with that. And you should consider that. And it's fabulous. It's a great way to learn astrology by just reading the day-to-day stuff, but not comparing it to your own chart. That's another whole story. Those are two different things.
That gets back to reading your own chart.
Yes. And then going back to reading your own chart, that's something that's pretty static. I mean, there are ways to make it move, but, learning your natal chart, the daytime and place you were born, is just important. It helps you to understand how you filter, how you process, how you see things, because everybody's different. And, one of the best ways to explain it is, if you are just getting in a relationship with somebody, I don't read other people's charts without their permission, but if somebody's really serious in having a relationship with somebody and they know their birth chart, I will look at it and I will say, what I will tell them is, this person, the way this person communicates and receives information is this way, because I'm looking at their Mercury and what sign it's in and what aspects come to it. And so if you want to have good communication with this person based off of your communication planet and theirs, this is how you want to do it. That's
Dorothy,
synastry. That's what synastry is. Yeah.
Can you talk about synastry astrology?
That's exactly what I'm just saying.
Okay.
So
Christy, she answered before I even got the question.
I did. It's like the synastry means my chart, your chart, or whoever. And again, if a person is wondering about those types of things, it's like I have to get permission from both people to do that. And when I don't have that, I can at the least, what I can do without being unethical for the person who isn't present in the session is like what I just said. And I spoke about relationships, because about communication, because that is absolutely key in relationships, is communication. And so I like to look at that when I'm looking at the synastry between two people. Yeah. And so, yeah, how do you communicate? How do they communicate? Are your Mercury's, those planets in those signs, are they in the same element or the same modality? How well do they get along? So important. And then, of course, it goes deeper and deeper and deeper.
Right, right. It's the one I get that I have to explain to people is grandmas who want to know if they're going to have a grandchild soon.
Oh, I know. And I could see that. It's ninth house transits.
Yeah, but
Fifth
the thing
house,
is,
five houses from the fifth is grandchildren.
I always tell them have your daughter or daughter-in-law or son-in-law come and ask me because
Yeah, I
that's
can see that sometimes. For some reason, that doesn't feel unethical to me, because ethics is just so important. But because I can just see it, and it's like, oh, you got a kid that's having a baby. You can just sometimes it just pops out of my mouth.
I know.
Sometimes things
Well,
just come out of my mouth, which I'm not even thinking about it, and the whole sentence will just come out, and I'm like, all right, something happened there. Yeah,
anyway, well, thank you all for being
we're
here,
at
and
it
thank you
tonight.
and the next profile will be on Thursday, and I know it's kind of weird. It'll be at 1 o'clock, and I'm going to be talking to Robert, Akashic Bob, the one who does Akashic
Nice.
records, and he's got
Oh,
really interesting messages. His whole trail of how he became an expert in that is a trip to hear about. So come join me then, 1 o'clock. You'll get a notice if you're subscribed. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I'm
yeah.
one away from having 800 subscribed this week. So please.
Nice. Good for you. That's fabulous.
So take care. Bye. Thank you, Dorothy.
Thank you.